Above the Arctic Circle, on the Isle of Svalbard, sits the most northerly town in the world. Its name is Longyearbyen. The main industry of coal production is slowing, and travellers have never been so important to its future. So we venture to the last stop before the North Pole to discover the adventures that could be key to its very survival.
So most of the people that lives on Svalbard lives on this main island here, which is Spitsbergen. And most of them lives on the west coast, because here it's much more warmer than the east coast, since we have the Gulf Stream coming up here on the west coast. And most of the people lives here in Longyearbyen. It's around 2,000 people living here. Then the second largest settlement is Barentsburg. It's a Russian mining settlement. It's around 300-400 people living there. Then we have a settlement in here called Pyramiden. Pyramiden is also a Russian mining settlement, but they closed it down in 1998. So today it's basically just a ghost town, but the Russians have reopened the hotel, so it's 8 people staying there at the moment, taking care of the hotel and the guests coming there. And then a bit further north, we have Ny-Ålesund, which is a Norwegian settlement. It used to have Norway's biggest mine on Svalbard. But there was a mining accident there in 1962, where several people died, and after that they closed down the mine. But instead of doing like Pyramiden, where everyone moved away, the mining company opened the town as a research station. So it's still a mining company that owns all the buildings, but they rent them out to scientists from all around the world.
Not wanting to become a ghost town or lose its non-scientist residents, locals have begun searching for unique expeditions that will bring in visitors. The newest is an experience that allows travellers to sleep inside a glacier.
The glacier is built up by several layers of compressed snow that compresses. So we can see all the layers from years back of snow and sediments with different colors and different type of sand inside. And this ice cave we have been into is actually not a cave, it's a meltwater channel. So it's the water that has been digging this tunnel, natural tunnel through the ice. So it's in some places it's really narrow, in other places it is huge with open walls and far up to the ceiling.
With a promise for an extreme sleep on the cards, we headed up above the town. Swapping snowshoes for ice grippers, we descended backwards into the snow hole, clutching a handrail rope and treading on steps sliced into the ice. After unpacking, we decided to explore the subterranean ice cave. Following our exploration and hearty meal, our expedition sleeping bags beckoned. We were ready to turn in.
Now it's time to go to bed, so good night!
In the morning, after a seriously cool night on ice, we were packed and ready to head back into town, the slightly quicker way. Once back in Longyearbyen, I met with Udden Salter, who had another adventure waiting for me, though this one would be just a little slower.
Because of friluftsliv, which is a weird culture that we have in Scandinavia, I'm very concerned about the slow experience, as we call it, and saying that you should take your time when you're inside nature, and you shouldn't hurry, you shouldn't rush, it should be quiet, and you should should be able to listen to the silence and look at the surroundings, which dogs are the only transportation that you can experience this slow experience.
At the kennels we harnessed our teams and headed out into the wilderness, our heads filled with nothing but the sound of the sled runners slicing through the snow. It was beautiful. But to see how another settlement on Svalbard was surviving post-coal mining, I would need to take another, quicker means of transportation, a snowmobile. And so I headed to Barentsburg, a Russian town of just 350 residents, complete with a statue of Lenin, an Orthodox Russian church, and a hotel.
So you know, the coal mining is going to the past, and we developing tourism here. And for last 2 years, the hotel was renovated. We improving our snowmobile tours, summer trips, boat trips, and so on. Now, some people go to Barentsburg. They want to immerse to Soviet past. Maybe the Barentsburg is maybe last island of Soviet Union. Maybe this main reason. It's not small Russia. It's in small Ukraine, and it's like Soviet past maybe.
Heading back to Longyearbyen, I celebrated my adventures with a beer with a former miner and owner of the northernmost brewery in the world. He had to fight for 5 years to change a law from 1928 to allow him to brew here.
I've been here for 27 years, and we don't have anything up here that we can call our own. We are not making anything until now. The first thing is have been making up so far north is beer from Svalbard brewery, and yeah, well, that was the idea, to give something back to the community and that they can call their own.
We'll certainly drink to that, but it's not only the beer that the Svalbard locals can feel proud about. They have a unique species of wildlife too.
Svalbard reindeer. That's it's our pets. They're not tame, but they're not really afraid of people. So you get quite close to them, and they are very curious. And sometimes in the summer they play around, and it's very nice. They use most of the time just to eat, and in the summer they eat a lot of food and gain a lot of fat. In the winter they eat just to keep the stomach working.
Unique to Svalbard, scientists believe they crossed here from Greenland over 5,000 years ago and have adapted to the extreme weather. But aside from reindeer, there's something equally special up on the mountainside.
This is the seed vault. Got one purpose, to contain seeds and make sure that if anything happens, disease or a war or whatever reason, that we have a safety bank here with seeds. So in Syria, with the war, they are the first ones to take out seeds from this, and they took it because their seed vault was I'm not sure if it was destroyed, or at least they couldn't take out seeds from there, so they got seeds from up here.
So while the sun may be setting on the mining industry here in Longyearbyen, wild landscapes, wildlife, epic adventures and friendly locals ensure that this town, the northernmost town on earth, like the seed vault on its mountainside, holds a host of treasures in store for those brave enough to make the journey.